Hi there, everybody. Hugh here with you. It's been maybe about a couple weeks since I've recorded a video in this kind of capacity and shared with you. I apologize about that. Hope everybody's been doing well. Appreciate the recent subscribers and want to give you some more content and make it worth your while here. In the last couple of weeks, been fairly busy. Just did the Little Grassy Winter Songwriter Retreat where I was a faculty member and taught a workshop about songwriting. Uh, Third time in the last 3 years of doing that. It's a wonderful operation. I'm very proud to be a part of. I don't got several shows coming up here for those locally in Southern Illinois. Going to be playing in this brand new venue in Heron. It's coming Saturday, March 14th, called Lagos Event Center with Lucas Wayne and the Cottonmouths and the People versus Hugh DeNeal. Doing that, we're the first live bands to ever play there. Going to be the guest this coming Thursday up at Route 51. Uh, that's going to be a wonderful time as well, and getting things rolling more with the Hornworms post Mardi Gras shows that we did. So it's been a busy time, but that's not the only reason that I haven't really brought to you something that I've written from prison writings. I kind of ran out of fun prison stuff to share with you. And so what remains in a lot of ways are the not fun stuff. And I've been hesitant to share some of this real stuff where I use my real name and the origins, pre-prison, the stuff that's more about me than it is about an expose on what it's like for somebody to go into a place like I went into with her at Leavenworth, as a white collar criminal, back 15 years ago. And so 17 years ago, geez. So I'm going to take a chance on it here. And if you enjoy this kind of stuff, this real stuff, let me know in the comments, please. And if you don't, please let me know that too. And I want to bring you some interesting things that make it worth your while to be hanging out with me here. So I'm going to read something here that's kind of the origin of what got me into this madness in the first place. And so I'm going to start right into it here. So this goes back to 2006. It was 20 years ago this year, and this really kind of does take place in like January, February 2006. That's a little over 20 years ago. So I'm going to start right into it here, and we'll go from there. Hope you enjoy it. Let me know. All right, this piece is called The Path of Marco Polo, 2006. The internet had already been around in hundreds of millions of households for about 12 years by 2006. It was after the dot-com bubble burst in the late 90s, but before the housing crisis and recession. America was in two unpopular wars, and the president's favorability was low. Nobody trusted the government, but there wasn't any real disaster or major calamity going on for most people. There were enough jobs to go around and plenty of overvalued real estate. Loans were easy to come by. Every idiot was foaming at the mouth to get in on the house flipping craze, and money wasn't precious. There was no reason not to send it off to every liar and lunatic on the World Wide Web. It was the golden age of online high yield investment programs, or HIYIP, pronounced HIYIP, HYIP. Clever entrepreneurs set up payment processors so that funds could be distributed online in a matter of seconds. Transactions would go from one anonymous user to another under the pretense of privacy and freedom. In 2006, e-gold was the most popular form of e-currency, followed by the more secure e-bullion. The founders of e-gold would later be charged with wire fraud, and the co-founder of e-bullion would go on death row for having his wife murdered. None of this happened before both companies processed hundreds of millions in transactions in just a few short years. The Patriot Act was an unpopular phrase, as was Homeland Security. For investors, it was a badge of honor to circumnavigate government scrutiny for a 5 to 500% return each month. Some of the funds in these e-currency processors were backed by real gold. In order to purchase e-currency, a buyer would have to send a bank wire or Western Union payment to an exchanger. Most exchanges were set up in Russia or China. There were a few in the United States, but they charged higher fees because the laws were murky and they ran the risk of getting shut down. The largest payment process, sorry, the largest payment processors moved tens of millions of dollars in anonymous transactions every day. In addition to underground investment operations, they aided organized crime syndicates in money laundering and even child pornography. Nobody talked about that stuff until owners started getting indicted and going to jail a few years later. Unlike credit cards or PayPal, there were no chargebacks or any recourse in recovering a payment after it was made. Account hacking was common, and hundreds of thousands of dollars could be stolen with just a few keystrokes. Phishing scams were rampant. If a thief learned your password, your account was as good as gone. Scammers could transfer a user's funds into an anonymous account in a matter of seconds. There were no do-overs or takebacks. Anyone who could afford the cost of a domain name and a pirated website script could accept e-gold or e-bullion investments. Most folks claimed that they were foreign exchange or forex traders, and that was how they were able to generate large returns so quickly. As long as the investors were paid as planned, they rarely scrutinized a program. The savviest investors knew that all high yips were pure Ponzi schemes, and it was crucial to get in and get out. The game plan was to get in early, hype the opportunity so that more investors would follow, then get paid with the funds of the late investors. The strategy worked until the site disappeared overnight. It wasn't easy to verify any program administrator's real name, and the whole site could disappear without warning, along with all the money. There was no way to tell what country or where a site operated. They used proxy servers that could be set up nearly anywhere on the globe. The same program might sprout up again under a new name within a few days or even hours after closing down. It was a fascinating form of online gambling and a considerable payday for a program owner. Folks who should have known better were risking a lot of money in some of the programs, and most of them left much poorer than they started. The Hyatt frenzy fizzled for a little while after the Marco Polo incident. I only lost $100 or so, much less than most folks. All right, I'm going to continue this. Thanks to y'all. I'm going to try to keep bringing interesting things to you here about this wild world that I got myself wrapped up into 20 years ago. And I wish I could say that this world doesn't exist anymore. As I was just reading that passage there, does it remind you anything that might be going on today in maybe a much more blatant and mainstream capacity? I'm afraid it is. All right. Talk to you here in a minute. Thanks.